Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, yesterday I was online and I came across some articles about John Johnson, who's better known as Grandmaster Jay. He is the leader of the Not Fucking Around Coalition, which is a black militia group dedicated to defending the black community. They have staged armed protests against police brutality. And back in September of 2020, the brother was accused of pointing his gun, his AR-15, at law enforcement officers. And because of that, they charged him federally. And this brother's case went to trial, and he has been convicted and found guilty of 2 federal charges. One of the charges is using a deadly weapon to intimidate law enforcement. The other charge was using a gun during an act of violence. So he's been found guilty of both of those charges. And he could face over 27 years in jail, if I recall correctly. He is scheduled for sentencing in August of this year. So he's going to be held in custody until his sentencing. And I just want to take time to talk about this situation because there's a larger historical context to what's going on here. This is another example of black leaders being targeted to be neutralized, to basically be taken out of the scene. And we know about the long history of the counterintelligence program, where the federal government did everything that it could to destroy black organizations that were fighting for justice in this country. They used the federal government and local law enforcement to destroy organizations such as the Black Panther Party. You know, the Black Panther Party was under attack by the federal government. They assassinated members of the Black Panther Party. They incarcerated many of the leaders in the Black Panther Party. They targeted the Black Panther Party for surveillance, and they had agents within the Black Panther Party gathering information. They used agent provocateurs to destroy the Black Panther Party. And the Black Panther Party wasn't the only organization targeted by the federal government. You had, SNCC targeted by the federal government. You had the Nation of Islam targeted by the federal government. You had major figures such as Dr. Martin Luther King targeted by the federal government. Malcolm X targeted by the federal government. And this even goes way back to Marcus Garvey being targeted by the federal government. So this is a part of a pattern and practice to destroy black organizations and black leaders. Anytime a black man or a black person, period, stands up to this system of white supremacy, they are targeted by the federal government. They're targeted for arrest. They're targeted for trumped up charges. They're targeted for assassination. And this is a continuation of that pattern. And there are a lot of people that are quote unquote leaders in the community who aren't targeted because, in fact, a lot of these people are nothing but agents. A lot of these people are nothing but self-serving individuals that are about promoting themselves. They are never on the front lines when it comes to the struggle. They are never out in the streets protesting. They are never standing up for anything. All they're doing is peddling products for you to purchase. And it's no wonder that those people aren't targeted like people like this brother. He was targeted because he was actually out there putting in the work for the people. And it's a shame that, they can just lock these leaders up, assassinate our leaders. And what we do is sit by and watch and allow it to happen. We sit by and allow it to happen. Like with all those Black Panthers that were locked up and put in jail for decades, they were left forgotten. The people have forgotten about their sacrifice. And too often the people were not out there marching and demonstrating and demanding their release. That's what we need to be doing. We need to raise attention to this issue. We need to be using our platforms to speak out against this injustice. This brother could face over 20 years in jail behind these trumped up charges. We've seen situations where you had these white militia groups point weapons at police and they didn't face these kind of charges. This is by design. This brother is being targeted because he had the courage, the gumption, the balls to stand up to white supremacy, not with just some speech, not with some little video on YouTube or something like that. That brother was in the streets putting in the work for the people, facing these police with guns. And, one of the things that they did, they used a lot of his video content against him. They used statements that he made against him to make it seem like he was deranged or something like that, to make it seem like he was violent and stuff like that. So we have to be cautious of what we say on here, but we need to still be vigilant in speaking truth to power. This brother, and the fact that they would use those statements proves that part of the intent behind arresting this brother and locking this brother up is to suppress the movement because of his positions on issues. They're using this as a form of suppression and repression. This brother is a part of the movement, and they're trying to shut down the movement for justice. They don't have any problem with paid opposition, propped up fake opposition that's just put up there to be a show and not actually do something to make a difference. We cannot sit by and let them allow them to arrest our leaders. You may have some ideological disagreements with them. You may have differences on certain issues, but the fact of the matter is that brother is a brother fighting for our people, and we cannot remain silent while they lock this brother up. I will continue to use my voice to speak out against this injustice. It's a damn shame that they're going to lock this brother up. This brother who's fighting against police brutality. We can't let them do what they did to all these other countless leaders, all those Black Panther leaders locked up for decades and decades. People killed for standing up for Black people. I think about brother Malcolm X. His killers were able to just go into the Autobahn theater and shoot that brother in front of all those people. Now, some of the people grabbed them, grabbed the accused shooters and stuff like that right on the scene. But the fact of the matter is that shouldn't have been allowed to happen, period. We have to stand up for our leaders. How many more must die? How many more must be locked up before we finally take a stand? This is a damn shame, man. It's outrageous.